Hello and welcome to the Google Hangout with Mondelez International. I'm your host, Dave Netley. Now, today we're going to be talking about the Sales Executive Program that we have on our Early Careers website. This is going to be going through the different entry routes that we have for our sales executives as opposed to our standardized graduate programs. So we've been taking your questions as ever over the last couple of weeks on Twitter, and we're going to be directing those today to two people within our sales function. Today with me I have Will, who is our Field Sales Director, and Sam, who joined us as a sales executive last year from university. I'll let those two introduce themselves in a minute. As ever, you can tweet us live at MDLZ, the usual channels, and should we take any questions live, we will do our best to answer those as and when they come through. So I'm going to now pass you over to Will, who's going to introduce himself. Then we'll have Sam after that, and we'll get going into the questions. So, Will, over to you.
Thanks, Dave, and hi. So, as Dave said, my name's Will Yates. I'm the Field Sales Director, and I've been here 18 years, and it's been a brilliant 18 years. I actually started doing a sales executive role in the Welsh Valleys. So, if anyone's listening from Wales, a bit of a doff your cap to you guys. And I moved from there into the business development executive world, where we look after some of the more sophisticated routes to market. Booker might be one that you're more familiar with. And then from there into national accounts, where I looked after the likes of Woolworths when they still existed, but also a number of the forecourt chains and a distributor called Palmer & Harvey. I then went into field sales and looked after the team in London. I was privileged enough to launch the Trident brand into the UK and create a sales team around that, and ended up in my dream job, which is the field sales director. So it's been a phenomenal journey for me in a company that really has allowed me to grow and develop at a really good pace. And at the same time has given me some amazing experiences both in the UK and abroad. So I guess 18 years which have been packed with great experiences and a huge amount of development. So yeah, something that I've thoroughly enjoyed and now in a role that I love. Sam, maybe you'd like to do your part.
Hiya, yes, my name's Sam Evans, and I joined the business in October of last year. Straight from university, I went to Buckinghamshire University and studied sports science, so something a bit away from the path, but decided to join Mondelez because really interested in the fast-paced nature, being really heavily targeted and really pushed to all my potential. Like I say, so I joined the SDE month, did that role for 10 months, thoroughly enjoyed that role, learned a lot from it, and very quickly got put into an opportunity in Bourneville offices working in the activation team, whereby I support a lot of the sales teams, such as the BDEs that Will did, the SDEs, the role that we're talking about at the moment, and loads of other parties that you'll learn about once you're within the business. But yeah, so really enjoy working here so far, and it's definitely opened up a lot of opportunities for me. So.
Okay, thank you both of you. Now, I understand that at the moment we're having some technical difficulties with the picture. So at the moment you can only see me on your screen. The other two, apparently you can hear fine. So I'm going to carry on with the questions because you've come here to sort of get those questions answered, and those two are the ones with the knowledge. If you do sort of experience some difficulties with the picture though, that'll be just while we're getting the cameras sorted out. So apologies for that. However, I am going to go into the first question, which I'm going to be directing towards Sam, and I'm hoping that he can give us a sort of day in the life example of a sales executive within Mondelez International and the types of things that a sales executive does.
Yeah, so if I realistically give an example of a day in the life of a sales development exec, realistically pick your stock up on a Monday morning from your cash and carries, load the car up and go and visit the stores for the week. So I'd create a journey plan in terms of what customers I'm going to see throughout that week. So some customers you can turn up whenever, they own the store, they're going to be there all the while. Others have to make more of a business appointment and go and visit them, and that's really up to you to sort of get to learn your area and understand the needs of that ground and who can visit when. Every 3 weeks we do a brand new promotional activity, so you'll always be selling something brand new with different focuses, point of sale, free of charge, looking after customers, and rewarding customers as well. So that's the best bit about it, really. And then obviously the whole nature of 3-week promotions means that the whole job is very fast paced. It's ever changing, very challenging at times, but really enjoyably challenging actually, because it can really sort of grow and develop skills that I never really thought I had. Definitely, if you can prove yourself, you can get involved in many projects, and definitely the SDE role, from what it is at the moment, is definitely something that is seen as the foundation to a lot of careers within Mondelez. So it's definitely a great career to get involved in, and definitely propel yourself up the business as quickly as possible, really, with gaining as many skills as possible, which you'll definitely learn within the sales development exec role.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Sam. Okay, so it seems that we've got the picture issue sorted out now. So again, apologies for that. So I'm going to move straight on, and Will, I'm going to be asking you the next question, which is, a few people have sort of said, why should they join the sales team at Mondelez International, and what are the benefits of being a field sales executive?
Okay, well, and a great question too. I guess I was privileged enough 2 years ago to build a strategy for the business around making the field sales team and the field sales executives the talent pipeline for the future of this business. And we were really clear at that point that bringing in high caliber graduate individuals to the sales team will allow us to create the leaders of the future that we need. And really that is significant for 2 reasons. One, that it's a real change of strategy to ensure that we are recruiting into field sales in order to drive individuals into the different functions in the business. But two, in that we are therefore investing more heavily in field sales to make sure that we have great capability to start with, and that we're winning not only in middle management and senior management in the organisation, but actually at entry-level roles as well. It makes it a much more inspiring and engaging environment to work in when those around you have the same passion, enthusiasm and energy as you do when you start. And I guess Sam, who you've just heard from, is a great example of that. Outside of that, let's not forget that we're operating in a organisation who has brands that the majority of our competitors would love to own. And that the majority of our retailers understand to be market leaders. Therefore, we're operating in an environment which is not only very fast-paced, it's very dynamic, we've got great capability, but also we're supported by wonderful brands that people genuinely love, and people are incredibly supportive of what we want to do. You pass all that together, and actually what you end up with is a role which becomes the most amazing springboard into an organisation of this size. And when I say of this size, I'm not just talking the UK, I'm talking into Europe, and a number of functions that really allow somebody to grow and develop in whatever direction they want. So it's a phenomenal role to enter the business at. It's absolutely recognised as the talent bed of the future. And around you, you're surrounded by great capability, great brands, and a real focus on development. So hopefully, Dave, I hope that answers some of the questions that were posed there.
Definitely, yes. Thank you very much, Will. And I'm sure that will certainly that message will certainly reach the people that were wondering about that. Okay, so the next question that we received is again, I'm going to put this one to Sam, which is what sort of support or training will our new sales development executives get upon joining Mondelez International?
Okay, yeah. So I think this is definitely one of my biggest questions I had when I was a graduate thinking about joining such a big organisation, in that it's quite a daunting place to join when in my mind when I'm thinking such a big company, and I don't really have that much experience, so how do I get it? And definitely we have so much that I've been provided with as an SDE, and all SDEs do. So we start with a 3-week induction, which is based across normally Bourneville and Uxbridge, and you get to see various parts of the business, learn about the background of the business, and then you go out on your ground, see it at a ground level, understand how things sort of work from a sales development executive's point of view, and you'll go out with an experienced sales exec, so you won't be on your own. Then there is the part where you come back into the offices and sort of use the learnings that you've seen in the field and in store to then sort of help out the rest of your training. So then you go out into the role a really well-equipped SDE. Buddy days, so an experienced SDE will be buddied up with you, and they are your port of call for everything if you don't feel comfortable going to your manager. Someone at a similar level to you who you can really sort of rely on to really give you some solid support, give you some really experienced background. Your manager also will come out every 3 weeks with you, which is really, really quite enjoyable. It breaks up the 3 weeks so you can sort of spend time with your manager, express your concerns, where would you like to learn more on, and they can really support you in terms of where you think you need help within the role. So other SDEs as well, they really sort of help out with training and development, and also there are such programs available as sales development exec programs, which I've been lucky enough to get my a part on, and they are really about showing you the wider business. They really do open up a lot of opportunities. So if you are successful in the sales exec role, I would definitely really recommend getting heavily involved in any training programs, any projects that you can, because there is that support within such a large business that can really sort of develop your skills beyond your imagination normally. Thanks.
Perfect. Yes, thank you very much, Sam. And I guess moving on from that then, I mean, that's the sort of advice and like training and support that you get upon joining. I mean, what sort of ongoing support do you get once you actually start into the role when you're out there in the field by yourself, I guess?
Well, I suppose, yeah, I think once you're out there on your own, it's really up to you, I suppose, because as you manage your own time, you can sort of decide, do I want more support, want less, or do I want to get on with it myself? And definitely the FSDM, your manager, sorry, coming out with you on journey, that really helps as an ongoing level of support and training. There's definitely there's definitely, like I say, programs out that you can go out there and get yourself and express an opinion, express a desire to want to get on these courses. And I suppose the biggest thing that I'm trying to get across is we have so much, and there is a lot that possibly I haven't sampled myself because I've not put my hand up to go into those places. But if you are willing and show a desire to, then there is a lot of other support networks that are out there for you to go and get a hold of. And I think that's really up to you once you're in the business. And your manager is a really key line of support there. So you can say, look, I really want to develop this skill, that skill, and they can definitely put you onto such programs like that. Does that help a little bit more to the question?
Yes, no, that's perfect. Thank you very much, Sam. And I guess, I mean, you've spoken a lot about, the development and the skills and the sort of progress that you can make as a sales exec. I mean, for you and using your experience, I guess, what sort of skills would you expect a sales executive to be sort of developing within the first year on the sales exec program?
Yeah, I think definitely at an initial point, I think you need to be quite willing to learn and quite open. Definitely come into it with a blank slate and really just take everything for as what it is. But I think for things I've definitely developed personally along my journey along the way, I've definitely been planning, definitely learning ways of selling and selling techniques, because selling is such an easy used word, but then when it's actually in front of you, it's quite a difficult thing to do. So there's a lot of skills what I've learned in how to manage and how to handle certain conversations and different selling conversations, and that again links back to my 3-week induction, again links back to my talks with my manager, and she's saying perhaps handle things this way instead of that way. Building relationships with your retailers, so the whole diverse range of retailers that you'll deal with on a 3-weekly basis, and it's definitely learning about being quite empathetic, understanding the business, and also I've developed a lot more skills in terms of understanding what's happening in the wider snacking market rather than just a centralized business point of view. and it's definitely, basically, like I've said, the SD role, and Will said as well, the SD role is definitely a foundation to propel yourself within Mondelez. And I've learned how things are managed at a ground level, and that in turn has really helped me come into the activation role and understand from a field perspective, and really helped me be better at this job. So I can sort of come in, support people who are in the office and do certain analytic roles, and I can sort of put a field's perspective on things, and use my experience to better ways of working within the field as they are at the moment.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Sam. Okay, the next question that came in is related to the Sales Executive Graduate Program that you'll see advertised on the Early Careers website. And Will, I'm hoping that you can answer this question. We've had a few people asking what the difference is between being on the Field Sales Executive program that's advertised on the Early Careers website and the Sales and Marketing Graduate Program. I mean, is there a difference, or is it quite similar? I mean, what's your sort of take on that and the differences between the two?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I guess there are a lot of similarities and differences. So I guess let's start with the similarities. The method by which we recruit the individuals is now identical. So actually we go through the same process to recruit a graduate to go into the sales exec program as we do the sales and marketing graduate scheme. And I think that is really testament to the conversation we were having earlier about, you know, we're genuinely recruiting here people for the future of this organization. And therefore, yes, we are bringing them into field sales, and that is there as a springboard for the career. It's not a career job, and I think that's really important to stress. What are the differences? So, sorry, what are the similarities? So the similarities are actually, if you come into the sales and marketing graduate scheme, the first 6 to 9 months will be spent in field sales, and the reason for that is it's deemed such an important place to start your career, because you start to learn from the foundation upwards, and then you move on to do rotations. And I guess the biggest difference is that you do rotations across marketing and sales, so that's important to pull out, but also within sales you do rotations across different areas of sales and then different areas of marketing, so you get the opportunity to experience it over a period of years. Coming into the field sales program, actually what you do get to do is you get to focus on the one role initially, within which, as Sam's just talked about, there are a number of development modules to expose you to the rest of the business in order to springboard you out of field sales. You know, as soon as we've had the opportunity to see you prove yourself and you've got the capability to do so. And the options are I wouldn't say totally endless, but pretty endless. So hopefully there's a lot of similarities, the way we bring people on, the way you start, the first 6 to 9 months of the role. And of course there are some differences. We're able to recruit less people on the sales and marketing graduate program because we're just limited by the capacity we've got, whereas we can bring more on through the field sales program. And I'm delighted about that, because it allows us to fuel the business more so than we were able to previously. So I'm kind of hoping that helps.
Yes, it does, definitely. Thank you very much. You've mentioned about using the field sales role to sort of springboard beyond that, and I guess you say the possibilities are almost endless. I mean, what sort of development opportunities are there within the sales team?
Yeah, again, you know, this is the beauty of being in a enormous FMCG business, one that's not only got a footprint in the UK but a footprint globally. We have a number of people, so we're in sort of 25 to 30 numbers this year of people that have moved from the field sales team to other functions. Sam is one of them, and those functions could be something else within field sales. So the role that is a progression from a sales exec is a business development exec, so you go and look after cash and carries and wholesalers. It could be that you come into one of our centres, so whether that be Bourneville, where we've got our back office functions for the field sales teams, which is one of them is the activation team, which Sam's in, or whether it be a reporting function, whether it be an HR function, so something slightly different and outside of sales, or indeed our other site in Uxbridge, just on the outskirts of London, where you've got customer marketing, you've got planning, which is a really central function, you've got finance, And we've got examples of people coming in and moving straight into those functions once they've proved themselves in the role. So I've mentioned a number of different functions there, which are quite, I guess, quite straight line functions in that they'd be very much within people's visibility if you're in the sales and marketing arena. Don't forget that outside of that, we have the Centre of Excellence in Manufacturing in the middle of Birmingham. That is a phenomenal site and function where there are numerous opportunities. So if anybody wanted to look at opportunities within there, whether that be general management opportunities or specific manufacturing, and clearly we've got a huge logistic operation that allows us to move product around from Europe into the UK and then of course through the UK to our customers. So it's totally diverse. And as I said, I'm just talking about the UK here. The minute you get outside of the UK, then you've got the whole of Europe on offer. So loads and loads to go at, and I suppose the benefit of being here is it's one of the biggest organisations, therefore loads of opportunity, loads of roles, and a really exciting place to be, somewhere that's just never standing still.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And I mean, we've talked a lot about what areas of the business or what development opportunities you have within the sales team. I mean, I guess Sam, this one goes to you. Is that what area of the business have previous sales execs gone on to do? What sort of things have they done? I suppose after the scheme.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, because I think obviously Will's covered off the different roles that we can sort of do, but I think one of the biggest things to realise is if you look at Mondelez's portfolio, is it's not just chocolate or any other snacking. We've got chocolate, biscuits, gum and candy, and hot beverages, cheeses, those sort of things. So there's plenty of other avenues to explore. So there are roles within Mondelez. So as a sales exec, yes, you'll be mainly focusing on gum and candy, so such things like Trebor, Halls, Trident, and then your chocolate, so typically Cadbury, and biscuits as well. So we do focus on Belvita and Oreo. So that's what you'd sort of focus on as a sales exec. Whereas if you were to move out into the wider business, you could go cross category and you could sort of focus more on your biscuits. You could focus more on cheese. You could focus more on hot beverages. And realistically, there are, like Will said, there are these roles, but then there's also the same roles within each category. So the options are pretty much endless. So I think if I pull out a couple of examples of SDEs, without naming some names, there are some SDEs who I started with who then went into the business development exec role into Bourneville, and then have now moved from Bourneville to Uxbridge to move into a role within biscuits, and they basically look after national account managers deals basically, and sort of they do have a massive responsibility in terms of are these deals fit for purpose basically, and that's something you could look more into once you're within the business. There's also execs who, like myself, come into the Bourneville office straight from field, and there's also sales execs who have gone into the BDE role, the business development exec role. So I think realistically, if you come into the SD role, I think it's well worth getting to know your ground for the first 3 or 4 months, getting good at your home role first, and then definitely exploring what skill set do you have, what do you want to develop, what do you want to build upon, and definitely work with your manager then to say, this role sort of interests me, what do I need to do to get to that role? And I think that's what this business, I've found myself, has been absolutely brilliant for, in terms of the support networks and then networking that you can get involved in to then really springboard yourself up to a career that you really want to do. And I think basically that that's the beauty of the SDE role for me, just the opportunity that comes from it. It's like a pool of talent that they seem to pick from. So I hope, does that sort of answer the question you have to, really?
Yes, it does. No, thank you very much, Sam. Appreciate that one. Okay then, so as we mentioned, a lot of this is based in the field, and we've talked field-based, home-based, and I think a lot of the questions that have been coming through have been based on that sort of being in the field, I guess. And do people get to choose the patch or the ground that they work in? I guess, Will, you'd be the best one to answer this.
Yeah, it's a good question. Let's start with the end in mind here. The end in mind is we want people to be really successful in their roles, and by doing that, or by allowing people to do that, they need to be in an area where they're most confident. So putting you in an area where you don't know anybody is not really going to reap the best results for you or us. And so our intention is absolutely to find a area which is most suitable to their preferences. Now, on occasions, let's be honest, that's not practical. We can't do that 100 times out of 100. And what we'll do is we'll find the next best fit. But the absolute intention is to match people's preferences. So that's our starting point. And we'll do everything we can to accommodate that. Ultimately, it's about getting the best out of everybody for the good of them and us. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to match it.
Thank you very much. And moving straight on from that, I guess when a sales development executive is based in the field, I mean, Sam, can you answer this one? Is it like how often will they need to be in the office? Are we talking every week, every month?
I think there's no real blanket answer for that. I think it largely depends on geographical location, if I can say the word properly. I think definitely from my experience, I used to have, as every SDE does, 3 weekly or 6 weekly meetings where I meet up with the rest of my team, and they used to be based in Bourneville. Now, as Will's mentioned, we have the Uxbridge office, we have Bourneville, we have offices in Sheffield. So there's not just one centralised head office to go for. So if you're further north or further south, I wouldn't be disheartened in thinking I'm not going to be at the forefront of all the business, because the business for us is spread out so much across England and, well, England and Ireland for Mondelez as a start. But realistically, I think if you want to get more involved in the office, I think, and your team meetings or daily role doesn't particularly involve you in there, I think it's worth speaking to your line manager, doing the job well, and then having some clear guidelines in mind and saying, this is what I want to get into the office and do. So I think there's definitely an opportunity to come into different offices such as Uxbridge, Bourneville, and Sheffield. But mainly your home role will be on the field, out and about, on your, selling to your customers.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And that brings us nicely on to our final question for today, which is for the sales executives that we take on, are they likely to stay on the same patch or ground throughout their time within Mondelez, or does that tend to change? Will, maybe you can answer this one for us.
Yeah, sure. I guess the starting point is that we'd want the retailers to have a consistent approach and build relationships with our team. And honestly, that's where we see the best results, where we keep people in a consistent fashion on the ground. It's best for the retailer in terms of lack of disturbance, and it's best for our guys in terms of the ability to make up these relationships, which ultimately then reap the benefits in the long term. That said, we don't discount anything. So we've had a number of people that have operated in certain areas and then requested a move, which we've absolutely been able to accommodate. So we try and take every case individually. So there's benefits to doing it, but we also recognise that people don't just want to be wedded to one area. Life changes and things can happen, and therefore we'll absolutely work with every individual to get the best fit for them. So yes, I guess is the ultimate answer, but we'll be really flexible with it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's all the questions that we had come through. So we're hoping that we've managed to give you a little bit of a sort of better insight into what life is like as a sales development executive within Mondelez International. I mean, as you've heard, being an SDE is the sort of the starting point for a lot of different opportunities within the business, such as Will and Sam have explained to us over the last half an hour or so. So I'd like to thank everyone for watching. So this was the last in the series of Google Hangouts that we've run for our early careers programs 2014. So I hope for those of you who may have watched more than one of these to get a better insight, that you've enjoyed watching these, that you've got a lot of information. For everyone else, the recordings will still be on YouTube, so you will be able to sort of view these back again if you need to get the information again, or ask any comments or questions or anything like that. Someone from the UK and Ireland Early Careers team will always get back to you with any questions you may have regarding any of our programs. For those of you who are interested in joining for our September 2015 intake, please remember that the closing deadline is the 15th of November. So if you're watching this live, that's 4 days. If you're watching the recording, it'll be less than that, or the deadline's already passed. But we do run these programs every year, so we do have a yearly intake. So there's always an opportunity available. So for those of you who have completed your application or have yet to complete your application, good luck. We hope you do very well, and we look forward to seeing you at assessment centres, hopefully. So I'd like to thank Sam and Will for joining me today. I'd like to thank everyone for watching over the last few weeks, and we look forward to seeing all the applications come through. So thank you very much.